So, Five Nights at Freddy's, am I right? Yeah, my bad for making you guys wait over a month just to give you guys a goddamn Five Nights at Freddy's fan game video, but I swear, this one's really interesting. We'll get back to some more normal stuff in a couple of weeks, give or take. So, let's talk Scary Bear games. Juniors. Juniors is a really interesting Five Nights at Freddy's fan game that I wanted to talk about, even if I'm really late to the party on it. Either way though, I think discussing this game would be really interesting. I mean, seriously, it's got it all. Years of development, completely canned versions of the game, and even a whole bunch of drama involving a secret group chat full of developers plotting to sabotage and leak the works of other developers. Oh, and the game is really good too, I think. Junior started development at some time around 2019 to 2020, being intended as an original take on a prequel to Five Nights at Freddy's 2. It takes place in the often theorized about location Juniors from the Midnight Motorist minigame in FNAF 6. Before you start your investigations into the happenings of this very much haunted pizzeria, you'll be dropped into the Barrens, a limbo between life and death. This place is pretty swanky. It's got everything a purgatory could need. Entertainment, storage, some lovely fellows in the background watching me, and a big squishy brain right at the top. Do you think it would scream if I poked it? In the center of it all, though, is Paulbear, an odd fellow taking on the guise of a lovable little bear mascot who needs our help to investigate Juniors for him. I love Paulbear so much. He's like 60% of the reason I'm a huge fan of this game, being the greatest thing to ever come out of any FNAF game ever. Just look at his schnoz. I mean, Paulbear's brought us here from the real world to conduct an investigation of Juniors, something he's perfectly capable of doing himself, but won't because he's a coward. We're his puppet now, and it's our job to put ourselves in harm's way so we can get out of this nightmare. The job doesn't even come with any medical benefits. As to who we are and why we were chosen specifically by Paulbear, well, off to work. Welcome to the office, our base of operations. I'm not exactly sure how we got in here exactly because I genuinely cannot tell whether or not we're an employee here or if we've committed some kind of act of breaking and entering. Here at Juniors, we've got a pretty interesting take on FNAF's classic sit and survive formula. Rather than common gameplay loop of defending yourself from the horde single-handedly with lights and a door somehow, your job is to deduce details and various clues on the cams to report an animatronic possessed by a dastardly specter. And here at Juniors, the gang is all here. Fred Boy, Oxygen-Deprived Rabbit, Sleepy, Robin Hood, Porcelain Nightmare Child, and Stinky. I really enjoy the animatronic designs in this game. They aren't completely perfect, who is, like with Freddy being a little too fleshy looking, and his teeth being human in a way that makes me deeply uncomfortable. But besides that, the designs for the rest of the cast are creepy in a really good way. It seems to have gone for a more accurate 80s animatronic style that Five Nights at Freddy's fans cannot get enough of, but I think it actually carves out its own distinct style and feel, which I appreciate. This game is genuinely oozing with charm and its art beyond that, from the low poly retro style of the pre-night gameplay segments to the adorable claymation style post-night cutscenes. It's honestly a miracle it all works well in each of their sections, but that shouldn't be a surprise, these guys are clearly talented. Back to the gameplay though, the Five Nights at Freddy's will have you situated in this lovely dinky little office here, fitted with all the awful off-model merchandise you could need. Your tasks are to detect and take notice of certain tells that the possessed animatronic will emit or leave behind. The classic four of the FNAF crew will function essentially the same, moving around randomly from room to room around the pizzeria. The other two, though, are the oddballs, the Puppet and Balloon Baby. The Puppet is invisible on the cameras, just like in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and you can only detect her on a camera by her stupid freaking Circus tunes. Balloon Baby, though, as ugly as he is basically just a free report, as him being possessed will corrupt his status in the control menu, which we haven't talked about. All 6 of the animatronics will have a stability status. Let any of them drop to 0, and you'll be hit with a heaping helping of... So how do you prevent this from happening? Sealing their mouths shut with duct tape or something? Good idea, but there's just better methods in our modern day. You can actually send animatronics off to the conveyor belt to have them fixed. Just make sure not to make eye contact with them as you replace their internals, please. So what are your main tells that these lovable whatchamacallits are possessed? Oh, the usual. Flickering lights, cams going out, cams moving on their own, and icky gooey green handprints. So make sure to report the right animatronic for their crimes, or yet again, you'll be hit with a wonderful serving of... And for the main nights, that's Juniors. All 5 nights will see you following the same gameplay loop, reporting animatronics, keeping them topped up on stability, and finishing all the tasks, as the night will not end until you finish every single one the night requires, with the amount going up every single night. But what's happening during the times when you're not in the office? Nearly every night after wrapping up your work at Juniors, you'll often find a lovely little VHS tape on your way out of the place. These VHS tapes, made in the delightful little claymation style I've mentioned before, describe the building and construction of the game's main antagonist, the Mangle.
My name is Bob. I built the Mangle. It was difficult.
Yeah, the Mangle's basically the final boss of this game, rather than her roll off to the side in most Five Nights at Freddy's games. Every VHS tape will further the construction of the Mangle, showing one of the animatronics possessed by the spirit offering up a part to the heap, dooming us more and more every single night. At the end of it all, we and our lovely, squishy, dubious friend Paulbear have to make a plan to take down the Mangle, and even the spirit herself, once and for all. So how are we gonna do that exactly? Break into the place even more! Uh-oh.
Pickle power!
It's night 6 now, the final night. Welcome to the basement. If this place seems any bit familiar, you're not alone. I actually have a deep and complex theory that this complex may actually be the well-known pizza establishment from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. It's just a theory, though. In terms of other things, though, shit just got real. Every single animatronic has been inexplicably torn apart, so yes, this iteration of Freddy makes me even more uncomfortable. The beginning of this night functions nearly identically to Five Nights at Freddy's 2, as said, with the exclusion of the toy animatronics, as they don't exactly exist yet. If you've played FNAF 2, though, you already got the gist of this. Put on your mask for Tweedledee and Tweedledum coming out the left and right vents, mask again for Freddy, blind the fox, there's a kid in the vents, I think, and crank the puppet's music box. Master these skills, and you should be out of there, Scott Cawthon free. Until 1:30 AM hits. Everything falls apart in an instant. Every single animatronic hops on the conveyor belt, sacrificing themselves and their parts to fully complete and activate the Mangle. This sequence may be the greatest thing in like any FNAF fan game ever. The rapidly rising pitch of the score, the knowledge of knowing these animatronics are being torn apart but not being able to see it from the discomfort of your control menu, beyond the vague depictions of them being carted off to the demise, and the music. The music! I haven't brought it up yet, but the Junior's OST is genuinely amazing for a FNAF fan game. This entire night alone is scored with an incredible remix of the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 trailer theme, which I'm playing right now. But when it's all said and done, the Mangle's completion cannot be stopped. You just have to sit and wait there, knowing that you can't prevent it. Once she's ready, she'll be unleashed, and you'll just have to live with the consequences of it. Oh, hi there. The Mangle's appearance in the night marks the end of the entire rest of the cast, as she is now the sole robot in the entire facility. Your job of masking, flashing, and music boxing is now replaced with keeping her at bay in a set of actually extraordinarily similar tasks. Her lengthy owl tail will now pop in from either vent, forcing you to immediately mask up, lest be faced with a big greasy spoonful of... Winding up the music box is essentially replaced with the act of finding the ghost's horrifying visage in the cameras and sticking a light in her face till she goes away. And last but not least, this. This doesn't really sound that complicated, and to be honest, it isn't. The first time I played Juniors, I really struggled with passing this night, quite a lot, but after playing it through again through this video, it's kind of really easy. Imagine most of the challenge for this is supposed to be balancing out every single one of these tasks, not losing track of any of them, but there's only 3 things to maintain here, with every single one of them being fairly straightforward to take care of. It's kind of one of my few major criticisms of Juniors, is that besides the extra shift and the custom night, the base game is actually kind of easy. Beyond that though, it's kind of hard to come up with any negative about Juniors besides, "I want more content please, sire!" Besides that though, when you beat this night, that's the end of the Juniors. Surviving all the way to 6 AM in classic Five Nights at Freddy's fashion leaves you back to the Barrens, where the ghost that's made your life a living hell has grabbed a hold of Paulbear. Not Paulbear! The ghost mocks Paulbear, proclaiming that the player will be just like his other puppets and fail to do anything in response. This is of course when you lob an axe into her head. Bam! Roll credits! It was the prequel to Five Nights at Freddy's 2 all along. You got played! Oh. You knew already? Rude. As I said though, that's Juniors. Juniors is probably up there as one of my favorite Five Nights at Freddy's fan games of recent memory. That and every single thing Radiant's team has made. Has it got its flaws? Of course. But it's also got some really good detective-style gameplay, charming art, high-quality everything, and Paulbear. I really can't ask for much more. It's a miracle any Five Nights at Freddy's fan game comes out with how much love and work goes into them, and I can't really fault the Juniors team for deciding that it was probably as good as it was going to get. Again though, like Newborns, it's a miracle this thing even came out in the first place. So, word of warning, I was not involved in these events at all, and you might have to take certain details of this incident with a grain of salt. Most of this info is taken from the Five Nights at Freddy's fan game wiki, likely compiled by people more knowledgeable of the subject. Either way though, we gotta go through this, despite how awful it was. On June 10th, 2022, an anonymous user revealed a situation involving a private group chat used by a handful of well-known and recognized Fangame developers. The goals of this group chat and the happenings in it mostly boiled down to infiltrating dev teams for other fan games and leaking out a lot of the behind-the-scenes info, art, assets, and other stuff well before they were supposed to be out. There were many victims of this incident, but the main ones were pretty big, namely the fanverse titles Pop Goes Evergreen and the exiled Finance of Freddy's Plus. A lot of trust and friendships were broken when this got out, and it set ripples down the Finance of Freddy's community that were felt for months. But what's all this got to do with Juniors? Was Juniors leaked as a result of this group chat? No, my charming and weirdly smooth little friend. The main developer, Ramonov, was actually part of this group chat. Ramonov has, however, recently apologized for these actions, but it's not really my place to say whether or not they should be forgiven. Either way, though, it happened. And as a result of having the main developer struggle up on a cross and crucified with their game verified status revoked, it's very understandable that, for a minute there, the future of Juniors was uncertain. Despite this though, the rest of the Juniors team really hunkered down and made sure the game saw the light of day, and didn't let its legacy forever be its involvement in some community drama. Again, shout out to the Juniors team for sticking by their creation. So as I said before, it's really hard to rag on Juniors. It's been through a lot, and despite it all, we got a really good game out of it. So, what's next? Oh cool, a clown! About 2 years ago, GameJolt isn't giving any specific dates here, very helpful, DLC for Juniors was announced in the form of the Flip Side, a huge update for the game with a new story, enemies, and a complete engine change to Unreal Engine 5. Not only that, but some complete overhauls and changes to the main campaign of Juniors. I actually kind of jumped out of my seat seeing the new conveyor belt room for the first time. I cannot emphasize for how excited I am for this DLC, and to see the Barons expand it, with it now being called the Flip Side and featuring a whole host of wacky characters, like my friend here. Well, no matter what happens, I am seated for the Flip Side, and anything else the Juniors team may ever make. They're unbelievably talented, and they can make one hell of a fan game, so I have no doubts they'll go on to do great things in the future. So as I should have said at the start, check out Juniors. I'm going to return to my hole now. Whoa, look at this cool fan art that this person made, Ian Inmates on Twitter and also YouTube. Look at it with your eyes. Please don't unsubscribe because I made a Freddy Bear video.